So on the bell ringer it says distance, so we need that distance formula. We used it yesterday as well in the bell ringer. It is, don't need to write in that color. It is x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Catherine helped us with that yesterday. No, it's not given to you on standardized tests. If this is x1, y1, and this is x2, y2, then for the first one, x2 minus x1 would be negative 3 minus 5 squared. Y2 minus y1 would be negative 3 minus 1 squared. So I end up having negative 8 squared plus negative 4 squared. But the good news is when I type that in my calculator, if I type it correctly, negative 8 times negative 8 is positive 64. Negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. So I should end up getting distance equals square root of 80. Okay, Catherine does all this. She gets all her points with me. Yes, this is true. However, she can do better. She can simplify that radical. I need a perfect square that multiplies to give me 80. It's a pretty big one if I recall. 16 times 5. Man, you're good at this. So my answer ends up being 4 square roots of 5. The reason is I know the square root of 16 is 4. I don't know the square root of 5. It stays under the square root. You're very good at those. It's your kind of thing. Okay. Oh, let's see. We have another one just like this. We need to do again. I think we were determined to make sure you had the distance formula by spring break. Same exact steps. x1, y1, x2, y2. So x2 minus x1 would be negative 1 minus 7 squared. Y2 minus y1 would be 5 minus 11 squared. Well, negative 1 minus 7, that's negative 8. 5 minus 11, that's negative 6. When I type that in my calculator, negative 8 times negative 8 is positive 64. Negative 6 times negative 6 is positive 36. I end up getting what? Which is a perfect square, so my answer should be 10. But again, everything I did right then was plug and chug. It was just, did I recall the formula and where to put what in the formula? Which leads me to law of cosines in my mind. Law of cosines is really plug and chug. I give you the formula, you plug in stuff, you solve out the answers. That's why people find it easier, because I hand it to you. Okay, let's look at number 2. It says for triangle ABC, measure angle A is 42, measure angle B is 74, and then it asks for the value, A is 3, what is the value of B? Okay, first thing I do is obviously draw a picture. So here's my triangle, ABC. They told me angle A is 42 degrees. They told me angle B is 74 degrees. They said side A is 3. Well, side A is across from angle A. And they asked for the value of B, so I get to put an X there. What should I use to solve this problem? Is it a right triangle? So I don't get to use any of our SOHCAHTOA tricks. I don't get to use the Pythagorean theorem. I have to use either the two things we've been talking about the past 2 days. Do I get to use law of sines or do I get to use law of cosines? Sines, because there are circle buddies. If you can't find 2 circle buddies, that's when you use law of cosines. So someone help me set up the law of sines with this problem. Sine 74 over X equals what? Over. Okay, there's one person who I helped this morning, and he's leaving off the word sign. You can't leave off the word sign. It wouldn't be law of signs.
Teachers, you can go ahead and post now. Please go ahead and post your attendance. Thank you.
Oh, please don't start announcements yet. I was so close to being knowing my train of thought. So if I cross multiply, I would have 3 sine 74 equals X sine 42. I've got to get X by himself. So I divide both sides by sine 42. Again, when you end up at this step, this is what I want to put in my calculator. But I've got to be careful. I need to probably put the numerator in parentheses so my calculator understands the order of operations I'm wanting it to do. If you don't want to use parentheses, then I would type in the top line, press enter, and divided by the bottom line, press enter. That's my solution. Okay, what did you end up getting for X? 2.8? 2.8? Did you put it in parentheses in the top? That's what I know that's what you told him, isn't it? Yeah, I got the parentheses part. What did someone else who put parentheses? 15.28? 50.28? Oh, Lord help us. What did you get? You did 30 sine 74 over sine 42 in your calculator? Yeah, I got 43.09, which I guess the closest would be A. The decimal's weird though. Maybe my answer choices are wrong. They've been wrong before. I'm with Ayana. Let's pick A. Again, let's say this is 5 points. That's what I keep referring to for the test. Thank you, dear. So Catherine got 3 points because she set it up. She got her 4th point because she helped me solve. She doesn't get the right decimal, so she misses her 5th point. She got 4 out of 5. She's still probably going to get either a low A or a high B in the end of it all. Okay, are there any questions about the bell ringers? You know I'm going to do a checkpoint on law of sines and law of cosines if you didn't take it yesterday. The rest of us should either be working on our law of sines, law of cosines worksheet, or we have a study guide for the test. The good news is I'm posting the key to the study guide later. The bad news is if you don't do it on your own, it's kind of hard to practice. Okay, most people missed this on our last test. You overthought the top 6. Those are supposed to be the easiest. So I'm going to do number 4. It says sine z. Well, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So I should write 21 over 35. I should also type that in my calculator and get the decimal for that. Now, if I want to reduce it to 3 over 5, I can. Do you have to do that? No. I'm just doing it because I'm doing math in my head. You end up getting 0.6. There were some on the last test who overthought this, and they pressed the sine button. You don't press the sine, cosine, or tangent button if it's an easy triangle and there's no axis. No sine, cosine, or tangent button. Okay, are there any questions on 1 through 6? I'm hoping those who made that common mistake fix it this next time. The table below, notice it says 10,000, meaning 4 decimal places. That was an issue we had the last test. I counted off if you couldn't round correctly, because no offense, all we're doing is calculator button pressing right now. So for this whole column, you just have to type in your calculator sine 7, sine 61, sine whatever the number is, 75.8, all the way down. It's just calculator button pressing. But since it's just calculator button pressing, those on the test like this, Riley has to make sure she's rounding correctly. 4 decimal places means 4 decimal places. Okay, are there any questions on 7 through 11? Okay, and then we get through 12 through 16, and it still looks like that test we took last week. It really does. It's like, Miss Compton, why are you making me test on the same thing twice? Is what I feel like. It's still you figuring out which trig function. Like, they gave you opposite and adjacent, so you use tangent. Some are easy, like number 12 to solve. Some are a little harder. The hardest would probably be 15 and 16 because they want you to find the angle. What button do you get to press when you're trying to find the angle? Yes, you get to press the inverse button on 15 and 16. Okay, are there any questions about 1 through 16? In my mind, I'm even going to draw a line on my paper. 1 through 16, repeats. 1 through 16, stuff Ms. Cummins already tested me on. She wants to make sure 100% before I go on my spring break that I have it down. 1 through 16, stuff I already knew how to do before this week. Number 17, I'll help you draw the picture. On the test, I think there's one where you draw the picture yourself and one where the picture's drawn for you. So, it tells me there's a sun, tells me there's a pole, and it's 25 feet tall. It casts a shadow. And we discussed the other day that shadows happen on the ground, so I need to draw a better picture that's not so on the ground. 25 foot tall, 42 shadow. Here's my sun. They ask for the angle of elevation. So I get to put my X here. The hardest part, honestly, if you have to draw the picture, the hardest part is drawing the picture. Because once you have the picture drawn and everything labeled correctly, it's what we've been doing of which trig function do I need? Is this sine, cosine, or tangent? Since they gave me the opposite and the adjacent is tangent, solve for x. Are there any questions about 17? Okay, then flip. The only thing I'm concerned with number 18 is that you're going to forget angle of depression doesn't even happen inside the triangle. So if they tell you angle of depression is 36 degrees, it doesn't even happen in the triangle. But by alternate interior angles, I know I can put the 36 there. It's still not a hard one to set up. I know you can do it. The more elaborate the picture, the sorrier I would probably feel for you. All right, any questions on the angle of elevation or depression questions? There's only 2 of them because if you have to draw the picture, it's going to take some time. Okay, then we finally get to the bad boys. Again, just like on this study guide, I'm going to tell you on the test, use the law of sines. Use the law of cosines. I will tell you when to use which. For the law of sines, what I'm looking to see, did you do circle buddies? Did you set it up correctly like we just practiced in the bell ringer? I've said this like 1,000 times. Can't hurt to say it one more time. Derek gets 3 points for setting up the law of sines. He gets his 4th point for solving, his 5th point for getting the correct decimal. So Derek is getting 3 out of 5 for just trying using the law of sines. Am I giving you the law of sines tomorrow? Am I giving you the law of sines? I am not. It's sine A over A, sine B over B, sine C over C. If you don't have that down, we're in trouble. Okay, are there any questions about the law of sines problems? If Carrington's being smart, and she is, the smartest thing to do in both pictures is to solve for that missing angle first. And then it doesn't surprise her when the circle buddy is lonely. Okay, and then we get to the bad boys, 21 and 22. I say they're the bad boys, and they're actually not that bad. So, I'll do this. I'll do 22 for Miss Jessica. She would like to see this, because she missed out on our notes yesterday. So, the law of sines I'm going to give you, it's a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine of a. I'm going to give you this formula. You have to decide. It's either a missing side going in the A slot, or it's a missing angle going in the capital A slot. You have to decide. For our problem, and I do the one circle, buddy, so I can get my life right, it's a missing side. So I'm going to do x squared equals, doesn't matter who you pick for A or B. So I'll do 7 squared plus, God, I miscounted with the decimals, 14.7 squared minus 2 times, well, for B I picked 7, so I've got to put a 7. For C I picked 14.7, so I've got to put 14.7. And then it's cosine of the circle buddy angle, which would be 18. Now, if Miss Jessica were in math class again, going back, if Miss Jessica were in math class again, going back in time, she would actually solve it out because she was a good student. So she would do 7 squared is 49, 14.7 squared, that's 216.09. She would do 2 times 7 times 14.7. Get 205.8 cosine of 18. But again, I assume Miss Jessica was a good math. Were you a good math student, Miss Jessica? No? Good, perfect. So Miss Jessica can keep doing this and solve for x, or she can do the lazy man's way, which is what she probably would have done in school. Type that whole line in her calculator all at the same time. She can type that whole line. 7 squared plus 14.7 squared minus 2 times 7 times 14.7 cosine 18. If Miss Jessica had kept solving out, she would have gotten 69.36 anyway. If Miss Jessica wants to just jump straight to that answer, she can. However, she's not done, because just like with the Pythagorean theorem problems, we have it squared. We have to take the square root of both sides to get the real answer. So second square root, second answer, it's 8.3. Five points again. Harrison's got 3 points for plugging the right people in the right slots. 4th point for his attempt to solve. 5th point for the right answer. The only way Harrison can really mess this up is he's going to do my trick where I type it all in at once. He's going to type it in wrong. He's going to have the wrong answer. And because he typed it all in his calculator at once, he doesn't have any work to show. So instead of missing out on 1 point, he's going to end up missing out on 2. That's the only issue with this whole calculator skills I got going on. Okay, and then 23 through 25, there aren't any like this on the test. However, it's a good idea to practice circle buddies. If you can't find 2 circle buddies, it can't be law of sines. Okay, I feel like I've given away all my hints and secrets. Are there any questions about the study guide? Then I'm going to stop. Yes? Well, of course. Are there any questions about anything before the test tomorrow? If you realize you're still confused on something, you can come see me 0 period. And in fact, I'll look right now and see how many law of sines